If it was your child, if it was your brother or sister, what would you do? 20 seconds could save someone's life and make their life a bit more bearable. You know, the Invictus family, nobody judges you for it. Anyone will give someone the time of day. I felt at home. I joined the Royal New Zealand Navy when I was 17. Spent the better part of 14 and a half years in uniform travelling the world, and left in April last year. I was posted to HMNZS Te Mana, and we went up to the Horn of Africa to conduct counter-piracy operations. It was a 7.5 month deployment. I was 17. I didn't really have much of a self-identity. I'd never been more than maybe 2-3 weeks away from home at any one point, and you're thrust into an environment that's hundreds of years old in terms of tradition. Drinking was prevalent, and I learnt how to be an adult from men and women that had spent their entire lives in uniform. I had a supervisor that was a pretty hard person, and I found it very difficult to fit in with, I guess, that person's idea of professionalism. And during the deployment, I didn't realise it, but suicidal thoughts were so ingrained in my day-to-day life. You know, you wake up every morning and you just think that you're a really horrible person, no one cares about you. And I was just building this wall up gradually every single day, and the only way that you see getting out of it is by hurting yourself to the extent where you die. It was maybe a week or two after we'd gotten back from the Horn of Africa. You get a couple of weeks off to decompress. I found myself always closing the curtains, staying home, not leaving the house, couldn't get up in the morning, I wasn't exercising, and those feelings of self-harm became more and more prevalent each day. And I was in the kitchen with a knife and a pen and paper, just wondering what I was going to write to my family. And then my dad called and he said, "Hey, we haven't heard from you in a few days, what's up?" And I broke down, started crying, and then he left work and came straight to me. And I have no doubt that I probably would have tried to have taken my life if I hadn't gotten a call. When I was formally diagnosed by a psychologist, in a way I felt relieved that I knew that there actually was something wrong, and on the other hand, I was scared about what people were going to think. They pulled me off of that ship for safety reasons, and people started to ask questions as to why I was pulled off, because I'd only been posted there a couple of months, and we told people that it was my asthma. And just from telling people it was asthma, the amount of shit I got for it, the amount of people that would just take the piss, was massive, and that didn't fill me with much confidence that they would then be understanding that I had depression and anxiety. I think people that say find someone, seek help, most of the time they've never experienced it, and they don't know the courage that actually takes. New Zealand doesn't have a culture where you can share that you're struggling and people will just give you a hug. That doesn't really happen. And if it was your own family, if it was your child, if it was your brother or sister, if they came to you and said it, what would you do? If you say you'd give them a hug, it's like, cool, why wouldn't you give one of your workmates a hug? Just treat them the exact same way, they need help, just like everybody else. Just 20 seconds could save someone's life and make their life a bit more bearable. Yeah, and I've never blamed them. because they were a part of the same culture that I was, you know. They probably had their own issues that they were dealing with, and that's how they got their point across. But every time I see them, you know, we have a hug and we have a chat. You know, I don't like holding grudges. You know, it doesn't help anything. So, warrant officer of the Navy at the time just emailed me and said, "Hey, I know what you've been going through. There's something called Invictus. I think you should apply." I jumped on the computer and just Googled Invictus Games and had a read. And all I saw was veterans with missing arms, missing legs, scars, and I didn't think that I was eligible. You know, I didn't think that I was sick because I didn't really see it as an illness or an injury. A few weeks later, I got an email saying that I'd been selected to take part in the selection camp for the games being held in The Hague in 2020. And after just the first day of the selection camp, I was hooked. I felt at home. There was an overwhelming sense of belonging. I'd never and have never been a part of a team where everyone has an ailment. Nobody judges you for it. You can cry about it, you can laugh about it. In classic defence fashion, there's a bit of dark humour around it. It's helped me feel comfortable about who I am. You know, the Invictus family, anyone will give someone the time of day if they're struggling. You know, we spent 18 months preparing for it. When COVID hit, I was the fittest, the strongest I'd ever been. And then over the course of 2 months, it was all taken away. Lost a dear friend who was in the team, Bucky. That was pretty hard, and it's still hard sometimes. We called each other our battle buddies, so he was in the army. His sister was also in the team, and we're quite close, and she was nice enough to send me a couple of his belongings after he passed. So I'll be keeping him with those belongings when I go over. You know, I've always loved sprinting. Just feeling like you're running as fast as the wind is pretty cool. I was the fastest in the team, and now there's a new team member, Jack Church. He's probably faster, but then that's given me drive to want to push harder so I can be faster. Not to beat him or anyone else, I just want to see if I can break into the 11 seconds. Well, I have got proper shoes, so I've got proper sprinting shoes, so hopefully that gives me a bit of an edge. So I'd always come second in pretty much everything I do, whether it was a promotion course or a sporting event. I'd always do really well, and I thought I'd do really well, but I'd always fall short. I would love to finish on top for something, but as long as I come away from the games knowing that, you know, that all the training that I did was just put out and I've expended everything, I'll be happy. Hi, I'm David Sanderson, a veteran of the Royal New Zealand Navy, and I'm an Invictus Games competitor.